So just worked with a player, and we just went through his first session today, and just kind of talking about, what I guess what we're trying to cure is how that he can start to control his club face better throughout his golf swing. So his original swing is here on the left, and when we started to go through his original golf swing, a couple of things we started to notice with him is one that he always typically delivered his club at impact with a lie delivery of 6 degrees toe down. When we see a lie delivery of 6 degrees toe down, typically what that means is that this handle is rising at impact. So you can see from the start and finish, there's a raising of the handle. Typically, because what happens is that the lower body will thrust towards the golf ball, right? And actually, funny enough, for him, it actually even restricted rotation. So you can kind of see at impact, his hips are fairly square. They get a little bit open, but again, he wants to be more open. So we started to talk about different ways that he could rotate better to keep the pelvis moving away from the golf ball to maintain that distance. That will allow him to deliver his hands a little bit lower and further away from the golf ball instead of standing the shaft up, and reducing the amount of wrist in his golf swing when he hits a ball post-impact. So what we talked about and when we got started with him was just like how he uses his feet. And first thing that we tried to do is get him moving off of his toes, because typically on the backswing he goes right to his toes, so everything starts to move forward on him. And as soon as you start the downswing, if you're already in your toes, that club's just going to pull you towards that golf ball, right? And his idea of, like everyone always says, get to your left heel is to pick up that foot. So funny enough, like he gets a decent amount of torque, not much vertical, and you get a nice flat center of pressure and goes right into the heel. But funny enough, because of the way that he uses his feet, he creates a lot of horizontal and not a lot of rotation. Because as we kind of say, translation will prevent rotation. So a lot of his ball flights typically looked like so, where he kind of smothers everything and it ends up left of the target. Right, and he's got some decent club head speed at 90 miles an hour. So all we did with him is actually teach him how to, what we called it, jump. And we're going to bring his new swing. You can see how his pressure has completely changed, kind of turned into what we call crazy town. But obviously, and the results are already here. But what we were trying to do with him was, number one, as he takes the club back, we wanted him to feel like he was more into his right heel, which for him just actually got him more into the balls of his feet. But you can see, like, as he takes the club away, he doesn't creep all the way into the toes like he did early in his swing previously. And then what we started to do after he got comfortable with kind of rotating and pushing his right hip back, and actually before I do this, I'm going to draw a line up his butt for a posture line. You can obviously see the rope that was hanging there is actually almost perfect, but you can kind of see where he starts here, and we'll draw one on both. Right, and then so as he comes back, he's able to maintain distance with that. But then what we said to him is, okay, now imagine, or actually do this, is feel like he's jumping away from the target. So feel like with his left leg, he's going to jump his whole body and rotate his body away from the target. So as he now turns and jumps, right, he creates significantly more vertical and torque. So you can see his vertical there, and you can see how he actually is going to push off his forefoot this time around. And we can take it right to peak vertical here at 196. And then we're going to take it to his peak vertical here. And you can kind of see like what part of his feet he's actually pushing with, how the forefoot is much more lit up with the red with this pressure versus how he just kind of rolled to the outside before when he created vertical, which is why he only had 156% vertical versus 196. So he actually created 75 pounds more vertical force by feeling like he was jumping away from the target. And then when we looked at his torque, we can actually see that he was actually able to create significantly more torque as well. He actually had an extra 7 pounds, or almost 13 force factor So you see when you bring him to impact, when he goes to that square impact versus a rotated lower body, you can actually see how his left butt cheek actually breaks that plane that he started with, right? Which allows him to deliver this club lower. So he started to deliver his lie actually flat when he hit a ball like this, versus before with the extra handle raise. So he actually got much better contact with that. Now the crazy thing is, the beautiful byproduct of learning how to jump and use more vertical and use more torque, never mind even with the posture, is when we start to see what it did to his club delivery, he actually gained just over 8 miles an hour of club head speed. And his ball speed went up 9 miles. His angle of attack shallowed out. Club pass stayed the same. But you can see how his ball flight, his carry, went up significantly. He actually gained 14 yards and less curvature because of that. Even with the same club path, he's able to keep that face open more as his shoulders rotated. Right. So funny enough, just by learning how to use his feet properly and maintain posture, how a lot of club delivery things change to make it better. If controlling the club face is something you struggle with and you want to learn how to stabilize the face, take a look at your groundwork.